Today I want to talk to you about one of the most time-consuming steps in the conception of Sincere and of its first collection, which was the search for fabrics that meet my sustainability standards and that are suitable for my project, so suitable for lingerie. So if you are also looking for eco-friendly fabrics for your sewing adventures, stay tuned, because I'm going to explain you how I set my sustainability standards, and I'm going to share with you and I'm going to show you some of my favorite eco-friendly fabric suppliers. First thing, obviously, when you want to create sustainable fashion is to use sustainable fabrics. But if you've already done a little bit of research about the topic, you have seen that there are numerous fabrics that are all called sustainable, but that are all very different. They are made from different raw materials. Some are naturals, others contain synthetic fibers. Then some are new, others are recycled or work with recycled fibers, and others are dead stock fabrics. So there are really lots of different fabrics, and that sounds a little bit suspicious that they are all called sustainable, right? You have to take a closer look to understand what is really the most sustainable option for you and for your sewing project. Because depending on what you want to sew, one fabric might be the most sustainable option for you, while the same fabric for another project would be the last choice. For example, if you want to do swimwear, you will obviously work with synthetic fibers. But if you want to do clothes that are washed very often, like lingerie for example, then synthetic fibers are really not the best choice, because each time when you wash the product, they will leak tiny little nanoparticles into the water that will then pollute our waterways and even get into our food chain. So yeah, for lingerie, synthetic is not best, even if it's recycled. But obviously for swimwear or like other active wear where you really need to have a lot of stretch and so on, there, for example, recycled synthetic fibers would be a good choice. So the first step for us is to define which fabric is the most suitable and the most sustainable for your specific project. So for me, for designing lingerie, that meant first of all to exclude all the synthetic fibers. I do not want to use synthetic fibers for my Sincere collection. So that still left me with two groups of different fabrics. So on the one hand, you have all the natural fabrics. The natural fibers like cotton, hemp, wool, silk, lotus, ananas, to mention some of the exotic fibers. And on the other hand, you have man-made fibers that are made from regenerated cellulose, that you may know under the name of viscose or rayon. They are made from wood pulp, coming for example from bamboo, eucalyptus, pine or beech. And you may also know some of the trademarks that are more well known, like Tencel or Lyocell, Modal and Cupro. And then there are also some very recent innovations in the fabric industry with cellulose-based fabrics that are made, for example, from orange peel. So some of these fabrics are really good alternative to animal-based fabrics, and so they can be suitable for vegan fashion, where you really want to avoid all animal-based fabrics like wool and silk, for example. But the downside of them is that the extraction of the cellulose and the transformation from the cellulose to a spun yard needs a high amount of chemicals that can be really toxic. And they can be toxic for the workers that work with them, for their health, but even for your health, for your skin, because of tiny residues that are left in the clothes they are made with. And of course also for the environment if these chemicals leak into the environment. So that's why for the first collection of Sincere I decided to only work with completely natural fibers and not cellulose-based fibers, so I could reduce the environmental impact of the transformation process from fiber to fabric to a strict minimum, because I want, the best environmental impact possible for the clothes that I'm designing and that you're hopefully wearing. So the best impact for the environment, but also the best impact on you, on your body, and on your skin. Furthermore, if you want your fabric to be most sustainable, you also need to pay attention to the farming methods the plants from which the fibers come from have been farmed with. So for me, that meant to privilege organic farming, or fibers from plants that are very resistant naturally, so that they don't require the use of pesticides that would harm the environment and potentially also harm the workers and harm you, because there can be pesticide residues in the clothes, and especially for lingerie, which is like the first layer that touches our skin. I really appreciate it to be pesticide free, and I hope you do as well. Besides that, if you have a look at organic cotton can be grown using 90% less water than conventional cotton, which is like a huge, incredible amount. And so if you use organic cotton, then you also contribute to save this resource, which is really precious, especially with climate change going on. Apart from all these considerations about the environmental impact of the fabric, you should also think about the social impact. So where was it produced? Who are the workers that produced it, that were working on it? Under which condition do they work? Is there possibly child labor in the supply chain somewhere? So here transparency is really key. So ask your suppliers all the information that you need to know. Hopefully they give it to you. And if there are suppliers who won't answer them, or who also give like partial information, then I think that's kind of suspicious, and I would rather look for someone else, because that possibly means that they do not really care, or they do not really have a detailed look at their own supply chain, which we wouldn't want, because we want to be sure that there's no child labor, that there's no abuse, that there are fair living wages, and so on. Luckily, you can rely on certifications that will guarantee you very high ethical and environmental standards, like the GOTS, the Global Organic Textile Standard certifications. And I'm, for example, I'm working with a lot of fabrics that are certified GOTS, to be sure, as I said before, that they are organic, that there's no abuse, that there's no child labor, and so on. And that's a really, it's a really strict label that you can have, that you can have absolute trust in. Another factor to look at is the treatment that fabrics might have been undergone. For example, bleaching or dyeing. And actually bleaching and dyeing processes generally need very high amounts of water and energy, and they can also be really toxic, toxic for the environment, and toxic for the people that are working with these products, because they use a high amount of very aggressive chemicals in general. So the best option is to either work with fabrics that are unbleached and undyed, or to work with fabrics that are dyed with natural plant-based dyes or bleaching processes that are the most soft, like the most environmental friendly and not harmful for the workers. Okay, I hope this is useful for you and that you have a better idea what kind of fabric you're looking for your own sewing projects. And now let's have a quick look at some of my favorite sustainable fabric suppliers. The first supplier that I want to show you is biotissus. They only sell certified organic fabrics, many even with the biotissus certification. They mainly sell cotton fabrics. They have a good range of woven cotton fabrics in different weights, among which you find, for example, denim and also French terry. Even though most fabrics come in plain basic colors, they also offer some prints. And they even have some embroidered cotton, which is really cool because I find organic cotton embroidery and lice really difficult to find. So you know you got an option here. They also offer a good range of knitted fabrics. And what is really cool is that they have 100% cotton jerseys. Often jerseys contain up to 5% of spandex. So if you want to avoid synthetic fibers like me to make your garments biodegradable, you're always happy to find a new source of synthetic-free jersey, and so here's one. Besides that, they also have some knitted and woven linen fabrics, and personally I'm especially happy to find very lightweight linen. But I think that their most remarkable collection are their vegan leather fabrics. They have lots of different cork leather styles that can be really interesting if you're looking for a plant-based alternative to leather, for example for bag or for shoemaking. Another of my absolute favorite suppliers is Naturstoffe, an Austrian business that is completely specialized in natural fibers. So they don't only have cotton but also hemp, linen, ramie, silk, etc. Really a very good collection of different natural fibers. And I think you'll be really pleased to know that you'll find a large collection of dyed certified organic fabrics in Naturstoffe if you're looking for some color. And of course they also offer matching threads, also made from organic cotton. Another section that might interest you for your haute couture projects is their surplus collection, including various Italian designer fabrics. Me personally, I don't see surplus fabrics as sustainable per se because they are often calculated and contribute to a system that accepts overproduction. However, that said, I think they are great if they meet all the sustainability standards that I have mentioned before. Also, if you absolutely have to use a synthetic fabric due to its specific characteristics, in that case surplus fabric can be an option, like recycled fabrics. But personally, I wouldn't use a synthetic surplus fabric if I have a natural, sustainably produced alternative. Last but not least, I want to quickly present to you Offset Warehouse, a British supplier of ethical fabrics. I really like the organization of their website because they allow you not only to shop by type of fabric but also by collection. So if you want to make lingerie like me, you can go directly to their lingerie section where they'll present you a selection of fabrics that are suitable for making lingerie, which is really helpful. Especially if you're just starting with your sewing adventures and you're not that comfortable with all different kind of fabrics yet. I particularly like the collection of pea silk and wild silk fabrics also, because unfortunately most silks on the market come from conventional productions. That means that in those productions the silkworms get killed, and even though if there's a kind of debate going on whether silkworms can actually feel pain, whether they're hurting or not killing the worms, not killing animals is our best option. So it's really great that they have these pea silk and wild silk fabrics because it's still really difficult to find beautiful ethical silks. I'm so super pleased what they offer here. They also have some new innovative or exotic fabrics like milk-based or banana and pineapple fabrics that are really cool, especially regarding their texture and transparency. And of course, they don't miss a good collection of organic cotton fabrics. Of course, there exist other suppliers for sustainable fabrics that I haven't shown you or that I don't even know. As I'm based in Paris, I mainly look out for suppliers that are based in France or in Central Europe. But if you are in another part of the world and you know some local suppliers that offer eco-friendly sustainable fabrics, then it would be really great if you can share the addresses in the comments below, so we can create a list that kind of serves for everyone. That would be really great. So I hope this was useful for you and you enjoyed the video, and if so, Please don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe to my channel to see me launch my brand and get other useful tips for your own sewing ventures during the next weeks and months. Bye! Hope to see you soon!